Hi everyone, welcome to part 11 in the Garden of Eden series. In this part I'll be looking at this Sumerian tablet and how it, I believe, describes the first Garden of Eden and what happened there in the Mesopotamian version. This involves Enki and Enkidu, his friend. Was a fine path, straight it was, easy to travel. They saw also the cedar mountain, and that reminds me of Lebanon, where live the gods. So, of course, Garden of Eden being off the coast of Syria, close to Lebanon, an easy path to follow. And Iranini, goddess of love, holy Inanna, had her throne seat. So, obviously, this is a very important place. Place of the gods. The cedar raised aloft its great luxuriant growth. What cool shade, what delight. So it describes a garden. A second dream I saw. We were standing in mountain gorges, and a mountain fell upon us. My friend, that mountain which you saw, that mountain is Humbaba. We shall seize Humbaba. We shall kill him and cast his dead body on the plain. So we can see in the images the mountain, the stone shrine of the Father, and the city of the Garden of Eden. And that would be the plain, and the mountain would be the stone shrine of the Father. Enkidu said to his friend, said to Gilgamesh, my friend, Humbaba, the guardian of the cedar forest, which to me reflects Adam, strike him, to maim him, kill him, crush him, and quickly. Humbaba, the guardian of the forest. Strike him, to maim him, kill him, crush him, and quickly, before God Enlil, the foremost, hears his cry. The gods will be filled with wrath against us for our deed. Gilgamesh heeded the words of his friend, while with his hand he took the axe, drew the sword from his belt. Gilgamesh struck the neck of Humbaba. So now I just want to go to the one of the monuments in Göbekli Tepe, which I believe is reflective of the Garden of Eden. Here is again the stone shrine of the Father represented in this image, part of the image, and we can see the three coplanar circles, and we can see that it's a garden for animals and birds, domesticated animals and various birds. Here is a picture of the fandors, the passenger birds, the 12 gates of Eden here, and here's the isthmus. And we can also see in other images at the top of the Acropolis other irrigation ditches and so forth. And this part is at the bottom of this monument, and this depicts a fandor and a headless man with an erect penis on the back of this fandor. And to me this is again the story of Adam flying on the back of a fandor, inspecting the garden on the third day, as reflected in the Uranti book. The third day was devoted to an inspection of the garden. From the large passenger birds, the fandors, Adam and Eve looked down upon the vast stretches of the garden while being carried through the air over the most beautiful spot on earth. So we can see the Garden of Eden, we can see the fandors, and Adam, who became headless because of the fall of Adam and Eve, was flying on the back of this fandor. So this is kind of a reflection back to those times. And just another excerpt from the Uranti book, Primitive Man. The early races also make extensive use of the large flying animals. These enormous birds are able to carry one or two average-sized men for a non-stop flight of over 500 miles. So you can inspect that more with links. So that describes the fandors, and as reflected back in ancient times, about 8,000 BC at Göbekli Tepe, And it was their forefathers that built the Garden of Eden with Van. And their headquarters was around Lake Van, which still retains the name of Van. Just another further section in the Arandi book, establishing the garden. When material sons, the biological uplifters, which Adam and Eve were, begin their sojourn on an evolutionary world, their place of abode is often called the Garden of Eden because it is characterized by the floral beauty and botanic grandeur of Adentia, the constellation capital. Van well knew of these customs and accordingly provided that the entire peninsula be given over to the garden. Pasturage and animal husbandry were projected for the adjoining mainland. Of animal life, only the birds, as depicted in this image here of Göbekli Tepe, only the birds and the various domesticated species were to be found in the park. Van's instructions were that Eden was to be a garden, and only a garden. No animals were ever slaughtered within its precincts. All flesh eaten by the garden workers throughout all the years of construction was brought in from the herds maintained under guard on the mainland. So, I think there's numerous, reflections that that we can find that corroborates the monument from Göbekli Tepe. Further on, the Sumerian text, Enkidu, his friend, struck Humbaba twice also. And the third blow, Humbaba fell. Confusion, dumbfounded, he struck the watchman, Humbaba, to the ground. For 2 leagues the cedars resounded. Enkidu killed with him. Forests, cedars, at whose word Mount Hermon, Saria, holy place, and all the Lebanon trembled. So we can see in Sumerian texts that the Garden of Eden, where Humbaba lived, who was struck down by a default, existed near Lebanon and very close to Mount Hermon. And that is reflected in Sumerian tablets thousands of years ago. So, and this predates the Bible edits in Babylon during the captivity. And all the mountains became, and lost text, all the hills became lost text. He slew the cedars, those destroyed. So eventually Eden was destroyed by a flood. The forest of Humbaba and the cedars of Humbaba is reflected also in Ezekiel. Now here's a link of Göbekli Tepe report, the UB, the news. It's a good report to read, a lot of good information. So this ends up this part of the series, part 11, and there's just a couple of other prophecies that I want to pursue, which we'll see in part 12.